Picture yourself walking down the jet bridge in Riyadh or perhaps Doha. The very first sensation to greet you is the heat. A heavy, dense wall of air that feels almost tangible, pressing against your skin. But give it a few hours, and you will detect something far more potent than the climate. You will encounter visual silence. In Europe or the States, your eyes are under constant siege, billboards featuring half-naked bodies, women in microskirts, bare shoulders, hair flowing loose. Everything screams, "Look at me." Here, however, there is stillness. A black, impenetrable stillness. You wander across the cool marble of a colossal shopping mall. Black silhouettes glide past you. Abayas. Niqabs. Hijabs. To an uninitiated Western man, this spectacle can be disorienting. Raised in a culture of absolute freedom and exhibitionism, we feel as though we have stepped into a world of shadows. A thought flashes through your mind: poor women. How do they survive in this prison? Surely, beneath that fabric, all vitality has withered away. They must have forgotten what it feels like to be desired. We view them with pity, laced with a subtle sense of superiority. We believe we know everything about liberty. But we are mistaken. And this mistake is fundamental. You see a prison uniform. They see a theater curtain. You see oppression. They see concentration. While you are pitying them, they might well be laughing at us. Laughing at how cheaply we sell off mystery. At how we have devalued nudity, rendering it as common and accessible as fast food. There, beneath layers of black silk, lies not emptiness, but a volcano waiting for its moment to erupt. And the pressure within this volcano is such that if it were to burst forth, it would burn our familiar world to ashes. Today, we will not discuss religion. We will not discuss politics. We are going to dissect the anatomy of passion. We will analyze, atom by atom, what occurs when those black fabrics slide to the bedroom floor. We will discover why men of the East, despite having the option to marry liberated foreign women, so often choose their own. Why they claim that a single night with such a closed woman is worth 1,000 nights with available Western models. We will crack this cultural code. We will learn about secret chambers, about the language of sense that functions like a narcotic, and about what is truly hidden behind the displays of lingerie stores where men are strictly forbidden to enter. But I must issue a warning. What you are about to hear may fundamentally alter your perception of attraction. You may come to realize that you have been playing checkers your entire life, while here, they are playing grandmaster chess. We are tearing away the veils. And if you are ready to face a truth hotter than the scorching desert sands, do one thing. Like this video. Consider it your toll for entering this restricted territory. And check your subscription. We are beginning our immersion into a world where no signifies the most passionate yes. Part 1. The pressure cooker effect, the biology of prohibition. Let us begin with a deep dive. We need to comprehend not merely what they do, but why it operates with such devastating power. Why prohibition remains the most potent aphrodisiac in human history. Recall your own childhood. Or your adolescence. What did you crave the most? That which lay openly on the table. Or that which was hidden on the highest shelf of the cupboard. The human psyche is cynical. We place no value on what we obtain for free. We do not appreciate air until our supply is cut off. We do not appreciate the sight of the female form if it flickers before our eyes 100 times a day in a social media feed. The modern Western world has fallen into the trap of sexual inflation. There is simply too much body. It is ubiquitous. In yogurt commercials, in music videos, in cinema. The male brain is oversaturated with visual stimuli. This leads to what addiction specialists term tolerance. To feel arousal, one needs an increasingly large dose. More explicit imagery. Harder content. And eventually, saturation sets in. Boredom. A man looks at a stunning woman and feels nothing. Because there is no secret. No enigma. All the cards were revealed in the first round. Now, let us transport ourselves to the traditional culture of the East. Here, a diametrically opposite mechanism is at work. Psychoanalysis refers to this as the scarcity principle. Imagine a man living in a world where the female body is a taboo. He sees no knees. He sees no shoulders. He sees no hair. Visual hunger accumulates over years. And in this state of starvation, any detail, a casual wave of a hand, a glimpsed ankle, the silhouette of a figure pressed against the wind, triggers a dopamine release of a magnitude the Western man cannot even fathom. This is the pressure cooker effect. A renowned Austrian doctor who studied the subconscious posited that libido is energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. If you construct a dam across a river, the water does not vanish. It rises. It presses against the walls. It gathers colossal potential force. Eastern culture is a gigantic dam. Strict rules, gender segregation, concealing clothing, these are the walls holding back an ocean of primal energy. And this energy does not dissipate. It seethes within. It charges the very air with electricity. The woman in this system is not a passive victim, as is commonly believed. She is the guardian of the sluice gate key. She is perfectly aware of the power she wields. The Western woman expends her energy attracting the attention of thousands of men. She spills herself drop by drop, a like from a colleague, a glance on the subway, a compliment at a bar. The Eastern woman is a hermetic vessel. She spills not a single drop for strangers. She carries this vessel home to pour everything, absolutely everything, onto one single person. Onto her man. Try to visualize this physically. Imagine a woman as a fully charged battery. If you constantly short-circuit the battery to light bulbs, it drains. If kept in isolation, the charge remains at maximum capacity. And when contact finally occurs, a lightning discharge happens. Sparks fly in all directions. That is why stories of Eastern nights are not mere myths from the tales of 1001 Nights. It is pure physics. The law of conservation of energy in action. There is another, deeper layer. This is the concept of sacredness. In the West, the body has become secular. Mundane. Everyday. In the East, the body remains sacred. Holy. Access to a woman's body is equated to access to a temple. And this shifts the woman's self-perception. She does not feel like a commodity on the bridal market, where goods must be displayed to be purchased. She feels like a treasure locked in a safe. Yes, the safe is steel. Yes, it is dark inside. But the very realization that you are a diamond under guard shapes a completely different level of self-esteem. And this self-esteem is transmitted to the man. Even through layers of thick fabric. A man is a hunter by his biological programming. He has no interest in shooting at targets that fall at his feet voluntarily. He needs the process. He needs the challenge. The wall of clothing, the wall of social prohibitions, the wall of traditions, these are the obstacles that ignite the hunter's thrill. Possessing such a woman is not merely sex. It is a victory. It is a triumph. It is the feeling of I am the only one who has the right to enter. And here we arrive at a paradox that blows the mind. One would assume that such enclosure should breed modesty in all aspects of life. But statistics are a stubborn thing. And if we examine the financial reports of global luxury brands, we see numbers that defy logic. It turns out that the most covered women on the planet are the primary consumers of that which is created for maximum seduction. And we are not speaking of cosmetics. We are speaking of what is worn directly against the skin. Lingerie. And the scale of this industry is shocking. Part 2. The invisible market, silk under armor. Let us discuss numbers and facts that shatter stereotypes. If you walk through the boutiques of Victoria's Secret or La Perla in New York, and then compare them with their branches in Dubai Mall or Riyadh, you will notice a bizarre discrepancy. In New York, the shelves are stocked with practical models. Sports bras, seamless skin-toned underwear, comfortable cotton sets for everyday use. The Western woman values comfort. She has a dynamic life, an office job, a gym membership, the subway commute. She needs convenience. Now, look at the display windows, or rather, the private showrooms of the East. Total, uncompromising luxury reigns there. Handmade lace. Silk of the highest grade. Complex structures with garters, corsets, transparent inserts. Swarovski crystals. Feathers. The most vibrant, screaming colors, scarlet, emerald, deep black, gold. This is not lingerie for comfort. This is lingerie for war. For the war for a husband's attention. And the receipts printed here are such that for the price of a single set, one could purchase a used car. Why does this occur? Why does a woman whom no one sees spend thousands of dollars on what is hidden? The answer lies in the psychology of contrast. Imagine the sensation this woman experiences. She puts on this set in the morning. She feels the touch of cool silk against her skin. She feels the lace embracing her curves. It is a tactile secret. Then she dons a rough, heavy abaya over it. And steps out into the world. This contrast, a nun on the outside, a seductress on the inside, creates a powerful psychological tension. She walks down the street, and not a single man she passes knows that beneath that black armor lies a masterpiece of erotic art. This grants her a sense of superiority. A sense of secret power. She is not a gray mouse. She is a gift wrapped in very secure packaging. And she knows exactly who will unwrap this package in the evening. There is also a social aspect we tend to overlook. Shopping for an Eastern woman is one of the few legal forms of entertainment and socialization. Shopping malls in the Gulf are cities within cities. And lingerie stores, there are special zones. Often, only women work there. There are no men in the fitting rooms. You can remove your abaya there. You can be yourself. The process of selecting lingerie transforms into a ritual. They discuss with girlfriends which cut the husband will prefer, what color is currently in vogue. It is an entire culture of preparation for the night. Marketers of luxury brands know this well. If you want to sell the most extravagant, daring collection, ship it to the Emirates or Saudi Arabia. What might be considered too vulgar or theatrical in Europe will be snatched up here instantly. Because these women do not have everyday life in our understanding. They have two modes, off in public and max on at home. There are no half-tones. If she undresses for her husband, she must look stunning. She has no right to a stretched t-shirt and sweatpants. The home is her stage. The bedroom is her catwalk. The man living in this culture also plays this game. By buying his wife expensive jewelry and lingerie, he invests in his own pleasure. He knows, the more expensive the packaging, the more desirable the contents. When he sees his wife cast off the black fabric, and that bright, provocative, expensive image is revealed beneath, his brain receives a powerful signal: this is all exclusively for me. Exclusivity. That is the key word. In a world where everything is shared, exclusivity arouses the most. But lingerie and clothing are merely the outer layer. This is the material aspect of the question. Yet, there are places where these women bare not only their bodies but also their souls. Places where they discuss things that would make an unprepared person's hair stand on end. We are heading into the territory of shadows. Into closed women's clubs and hammams, where the true female wisdom of the East is forged. Part 3. Territory of shadows, where masks fall. In any strictly regulated society, blind spots always exist. Places where the gaze of the law, the gaze of religion, and, most importantly, the gaze of a man cannot penetrate. In the East, these zones have been formed over centuries. It is a kind of parallel reality. If the street is a man's world, ruled by rigidity, business, and order, then there are spaces where absolute, concentrated female anarchy reigns. And it is impossible for an outsider to enter, not even for all the gold in the world. We are speaking of the female quarters of the house, closed wedding tents, and, of course, hammams, traditional baths. A Western person envisions a bathhouse as a place of hygiene. You arrive, you wash, you leave. In the East, the hammam is a social institution. It is a club. It is psychotherapy. It is an information exchange. Imagine a vast chamber finished in marble. The air here is hot and heavy with moisture, filled with steam. Visibility is limited. Sounds bounce off the stone walls, creating a resonant echo. And within this fog, there are dozens, sometimes hundreds of women. And here, a metamorphosis occurs that is capable of shocking anyone. As soon as the heavy wooden door slams shut behind the last visitor, black abayas fly into the corner. Modesty disappears. Haram prohibition vanishes. Women remain as nature created them. And here we encounter a phenomenon described by a famous Swiss philosopher regarding the shadow. The shadow is that part of the personality we hide from society. These are our repressed desires, our aggression, our sexuality. In the Western world, the shadow often erupts through neuroses and depression. Here, a legal venue for the shadow's release has been established. The atmosphere in the hammam is electric. A cult of the body reigns here. But not the anorexic, dry body that glossy magazines impose upon us. Here reigns the cult of fertility, softness, forms. Women tend to one another. This is a crucial psychological moment. In a culture where public touch between genders is forbidden, tactile hunger arises. The skin demands contact. And this hunger is satiated here. They rub each other with oils, give massages, comb hair, apply henna. This creates a powerful field of female energy. They nourish one another. But the most fascinating aspect is the conversation. If men could plant a microphone here and listen to what their modest, God-fearing wives discuss, many would suffer a heart attack. There are no forbidden topics here. Absolutely none. Everything is debated. The size of their husband's dignity. Their endurance. Techniques that bring pleasure. Methods of manipulation. It is a sort of university of passion, where experienced matrons pass on knowledge to young girls. They teach them not submission, as we assume. They teach them management. Do this, look at him like that, press here, and he will give you everything he possesses. Another space of revelation is weddings. A traditional wedding in the Gulf is often segregated. Men celebrate in one hall, women in another. In the men's hall, everything is decorous: tea, coffee, polite conversation, strict suits. In the women's hall, at this very moment, a genuine rave is taking place. Women arrive in haute couture evening gowns, with open backs, plunging necklines, miniskirts. They dance. An Eastern dance is not merely movement to music. It is an ancient technique of working with pelvic and abdominal muscles. Originally, these dances were designed to prepare for childbirth and conception. It is a dance of seduction that they perform for each other, honing their mastery. It is in these blind spots that a woman releases tension. She lets off steam. She laughs, she gossips, she feels free. And thanks to this, upon returning home, she can don the mask of tranquility once more. She has no need to be hysterical or rebel at home, because she has already rebelled within her circle. This system functions as a perfect fuse, protecting the psyche from overheating. But when she returns home, another weapon comes into play. A weapon that acts on a man at a biological level, bypassing consciousness completely. The weapon of scent. Part 4. The alchemy of passion, neurolinguistics of scent. We live in a visual era. We love with our eyes. But science tells us that the oldest, most powerful, and fastest channel for transmitting information to the brain is the sense of smell. Olfactory bulbs are directly wired to the limbic system, the area of the brain responsible for emotions, memory, and sexual attraction. A scent hits the brain faster than you have time to consciously realize what you have smelled. And Eastern women possess this chemistry of love at a doctorate level. Forget the light floral waters sold in European duty-free shops. Eastern perfumery is heavy artillery. These are thick, oily, animalistic scents. The foundation of everything is oud. This is oil extracted from a specific type of agarwood infected with a particular fungus. It sounds unappealing, but the result is the most expensive and complex scent in the world. It smells of smoke, leather, wood, and something elusively sweet. Musk and amber are added to it. Real musk is the secretion from the glands of the musk deer. Amber is a product from sperm whales. These are pure, natural pheromones and aphrodisiacs. Applying the scent is a ritual that can take an hour. It is called layering. First, the woman bathes in fragrant oils. Then, on her still damp body, on the pulse points, wrists, neck, cleavage, behind the knees, thick oud oil is applied. It absorbs into the skin and mixes with her own natural scent, creating a unique code. But this is merely the base. Next comes the smoking. Bakhor is lit in a special burner, chips of precious wood soaked in oils. The woman stands over the burner so that the thick, fragrant smoke saturates her hair and clothing. The smoke penetrates the very structure of the fabric, into every pore. And only at the very end, as a final touch, is an alcohol-based perfume applied. As a result, a dense cocoon forms around the woman. An olfactory aura. The trail from such a woman stretches for tens of meters and hangs in the air for hours after she has departed. How does this affect a man? It works as an anchor. A psychological trigger. If a man smells this scent day after day in moments of intimacy, in moments of peace, in moments of pleasure, his brain forms a rigid neural connection. The smell of musk equals sex. The smell of oud equals home. This binds a man stronger than steel chains. Even while on a business trip in London or Paris, if he accidentally catches similar notes, he will be instantly, physiologically pulled home. To her. This is a way to mark her man and mark her territory. This house smells of her. And no other scent will take root here. But the concept of the sensory trap is not limited to smell. The entire house transforms into a golden cage of pleasure. We often hear that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. In the East, this is elevated to an absolute. Food here is not just fuel. It is enjoyment. Dates, honey, nuts, spices, saffron, cardamom, most traditional sweets are natural energy boosters and potency stimulants. The woman creates an atmosphere one simply does not want to leave. The cool of air conditioners after the desert heat. The softness of silk carpets. Quiet music. The smell of coffee with cardamom. And this intoxicating trail of her perfume. She constructs a vacuum around the man. The world outside the window is cruel, scorching, and demanding. The world inside the house is a Garden of Eden. And in the center of this garden is she. Ready to please. This is an ancient survival strategy. To keep a warrior, you must make him uncomfortable everywhere except your home. She doesn't compete with him in business. She doesn't argue about politics. She gives him what he cannot buy for any amount of money, a state of absolute peace and bliss. But do not be deceived by this softness. Inside this soft silk lies a will of steel. And when night falls, this submissive houri takes the reins into her hands so confidently that the man himself gladly surrenders his freedom. And now that we have set the scene, we have created the atmosphere, filled the air with aromas, and locked the doors from prying eyes, it is time to talk about the main event. About what happens in the Holy of Holies. In the bedroom. And here, the greatest discovery awaits us. We will analyze how religion and traditions, which would seem to suppress, actually hand a woman a whip with which she tames the lion. Part 5. Huntress in a Cage, Anatomy of Hidden Power. We have reached the line that outsiders are rarely permitted to cross. The doors of the marital bedroom. In the mind of a Western person, a myth is firmly rooted. We imagine an Eastern woman in bed as a submissive, speechless shadow. A victim who endures her husband's whims, closing her eyes and thinking of England, as they joked in the Victorian era. It seems to us that patriarchy kills female libido, turning the act of love into a dry duty. But this myth shatters against reality. And this reality will be shocking for many. To understand the truth, one needs to look into the foundation of the culture. Into ancient texts. Into religion and traditions. Few in the West are aware, but in Islamic law, which regulates the life of these families, the question of female pleasure is written with legal precision. This is no joke. A man is obliged to provide his wife not only with gold, shelter, and food. He is obliged to satisfy her physically. This is her legal, Sharia right. Ancient treatises state directly, if a husband is unable to give his wife pleasure, she has the full right to demand a divorce. And judges will take her side. Consider how this alters a woman's psychology. She grows up not with a victim complex, but with an awareness of her rights. She knows, in this room, on this bed, she is not a servant. She is a demanding creditor. And the husband is a debtor who is obliged to settle the account. This flips the game. During the day, in the living room, in front of relatives, she can play the role of the ideal, obedient wife. She will lower her eyes, serve tea, and speak in a hushed voice. But as soon as the latch on the bedroom door clicks, an instant transformation occurs. Psychologists call this compensation of suppression. The tighter the spring is compressed during the day, the more violently it expands at night. The bedroom is the only territory on earth where an Eastern woman can demonstrate her power over a man. And she uses this right ravenously. From a gray mouse, she transforms into a demanding mistress. It is here, in the dark, that she takes revenge for all social restrictions. She dictates the rhythm. She directs. She demands. And the man has no choice but to submit to this elemental force. Men of the East, in frank, anonymous conversations, admit, this contrast acts like the strongest drug. The feeling that you live with two different women in one body. By day, a saintly Madonna. By night, an insatiable seductress. This role-playing game never grows stale. In Western marriages, passion often crashes against the rocks of everyday life, equality, and arguments about who washes the dishes. Here, the hierarchy during the day maintains distance, and the violation of this hierarchy at night triggers an explosion of emotion. Forbidden fruit is sweet, even if you have been married for 20 years. Every night is a petty crime. A small revolution. There is one more aspect, sound. The voice. An Eastern woman is taught from childhood that loud laughter or shouting in public is a disgrace. A woman's aura is silence. But vocal cords, like muscles, require release. What she holds back for 16 hours a day bursts out at the moment of intimacy. The silence of the home during the day is compensated by the volume of the night. For a man, these sounds are a signal of absolute sincerity. He understands, now she is not pretending. Now she is real. The veneer of civilization falls away, leaving pure biology, ancient and wild. She is a huntress who voluntarily walked into a cage but keeps the key to that cage in her pocket. She allows the man to think he is in charge as long as it benefits her. But she is the one who decides when the game begins and when it ends. And this balance of power, subtle, invisible, but unbreakable, holds these marriages together stronger than any cement. But even the most skilled lover needs a tool of attraction. A signal. And the Eastern woman has a tool that works even before the man has touched her. A long-range weapon. The eyes. Finale. The weapon of one gesture, technology of the gaze. We have discussed everything. Silk, sense, the psychology of power. But this entire complex structure would collapse if there were no initial contact. The spark that ignites the wildfire. How does one attract a man if one is sealed in a black bag? How does one say I want you if one's mouth is covered with fabric? How does one flirt if one cannot even smile? The answer is simple and brilliant. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you deprive a person of the opportunity to speak with their body, they will learn to scream with their eyes. Welcome to the world of eye shooting. But forget the coquetry you have seen in European films. In the East, the gaze is a laser weapon. When the face is hidden by a niqab, and only a narrow slit for the eyes is visible, all attention, 100% of attention, is focused on this single point. Women of the East have turned eye makeup into high art. They use kohl, eyeliner, shadows to make the gaze hypnotic. Deep. Bottomless. But it is not about cosmetics. It is about microgesture technology. Imagine the scenario. You are walking through a shopping mall. A woman walks towards you, completely shrouded in black fabric. You do not see her face, age, or emotions. She is a riddle to you. And suddenly, for a fraction of a second, she catches your eye. She does not turn away, as a modest woman should. She looks straight into your pupils. And makes a barely perceptible movement with her eyelids. She squints slightly. Literally by a millimeter. In this microgesture, more information is encrypted than in an hour-long conversation. Because the face is obscured, your brain begins working at overdrive speed. It attempts to complete the picture. It reads this squint not as aggression, but as an invitation. As a promise. I see you. You interest me. I know something you do not. This is the keyhole effect. When you look through a keyhole, you see only a fragment, but your imagination paints the most incredible pictures behind that door. This look burns. Western men who have fallen under this bombardment say they felt as though they were struck by an electric shock. It is not vulgarity. It is the promise of a secret. In a world where the female body has become public property, where you can see anything on the internet in 2 clicks, mystery has become the most expensive commodity. And these women are the monopoly holders of this commodity. They are not selling nudity. They are selling the opportunity to solve a riddle. And a man is willing to pay any price for this. One such look is capable of launching a cascade of hormonal reactions in the male body. Testosterone. Adrenaline. Dopamine. The man switches into hunter mode. Who is she? What lies beneath that fabric? A beauty? Or not? Is she smiling at me or laughing at me? Uncertainty arouses. An open book is read and forgotten. A closed book always beckons. That is why Eastern love often begins not with a touch, but with this electric discharge at a distance. Epilogue. The great illusion of freedom, who is really in the cage. We have reached the end of this journey. We began it from the position of observers looking down on the East. From the position of civilized people pitying downtrodden women in black robes. It seemed to us that their life is a prison, devoid of color, joy, and spontaneity. But now that we have peeled back every layer of this matryoshka, from psychology and lingerie to secret signs and scents, the time has come for the final, most uncomfortable question. A question that flips the chessboard. Who is really in the cage? They? Or we? Let us look truth in the eye. The Western world, having proclaimed total sexual freedom, has fallen into the trap of its own permissiveness. We have created a culture of inflation. In economics, when too much money is printed, it devalues. The same thing has happened in relationships. When the female body became public property, when nudity screams from every billboard, from every music video, from every smartphone, it lost its sacred value. We have turned women into visual fast food. Accessible. Cheap. Ubiquitous. We consume images by the ton, but remain hungry. Because fast food does not satisfy. It only teases the receptors. Eastern civilization, intentionally or intuitively, chose the path of the gold standard. They artificially created a scarcity. A severe shortage of visual information. And by the laws of the market, what is in scarcity automatically skyrockets in price. The woman of the East does not participate in the race for likes. She does not need to compete with millions of other bodies on the internet. She is removed from this cheap circulation. She is an asset that is not traded on the stock exchange. She is a gold bar locked in a secure vault. And only one person holds the key to this vault. This alters the very structure of relationships. The Western man is often satiated. He is bored. He has seen everything. He is hard to surprise. The Eastern man lives in a state of constant high alert. For him, every centimeter of his wife's exposed skin is an event. It is a holiday. The system of prohibitions works not like prison bars, but like a lens. Ordinary sunlight warms, but if you pass it through a magnifying lens, it burns through wood. The culture of the East gathers all female energy, all libido, all desire to please into one narrow, concentrated beam. And directs this beam at the husband. Enduring such a concentrated rush of passion is harder than surviving indifference, but that is precisely what holds a man in the family stronger than any chains. Look at this from the woman's perspective. We think she is a victim. But let us apply cynical logic. The Western woman is forced to fight a war on two fronts. She must be successful in society and desirable at home. She spends colossal resources to remain competitive in the bridal market even while married, because she fears she will be replaced by a new model. She ages in fear. The Eastern woman is spared this public race. Her aging is hidden from prying eyes. Her value does not fall with the appearance of wrinkles, because her status as Khatan, the mistress of the house, only grows with the years. She does not splash herself out onto the world. She accumulates herself within the family. This is an energy-saving strategy that allows her to maintain mental health and influence over her husband until deep old age. So what is the main secret they hide under their clothes? It is not just lace lingerie and not the smell of oud. It is knowledge. Ancient knowledge, almost lost to us, that mystery is the ultimate aphrodisiac. That availability kills desire. That no whispered excites more than yes shouted through a megaphone. They realize that true power over a man is not when you shout about your rights in the city square. True power is when you, silently and with lowered eyes, force him to desire you until his knees tremble, simply by walking past. Perhaps we men, raised on ideals of freedom, should stop looking at them with arrogance. Perhaps we should admit that in this archaic system there is wisdom we lost in the pursuit of progress. The wisdom of exclusivity. The wisdom of silence. The wisdom of a closed door. After all, anyone who has loved truly at least once in their life knows, the sweetest thing is not what is displayed in the window for everyone to see. The sweetest thing is what was taken from under the counter. Personally for you. Wrapped in opaque paper. Do not be afraid of the color black. It is the color of the night. And the night, as is known, keeps the brightest secrets. And if this video made you think not only about the women of the East but also about the nature of your own desire, then we did not spend this time in vain. Value mystery. Seek depth. And do not settle for fast food if you can have a royal dinner. If you want to continue cracking the codes of male and female psychology, seeing what is hidden from the majority, and understanding the true motives of human actions, make your move. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Because next time we will enter territory that will seem even more dangerous to you. See you soon.